In a quiet desert village surrounded by golden dunes and palm trees, there lived a wise man named Barzun and his cheerful young son Samir. Life was simple but beautiful. Barzun taught his son values of kindness, respect, and wisdom. Every morning they worked together on their small farm, tending to the animals and crops that sustained their humble life. One sunny morning, Barzun said to his son, "Samir, today we will go to the great marketplace in the city to sell our goods. Prepare the donkey, for the road is long." Samir quickly packed baskets of dates, milk, and handmade ropes. Their donkey, a gentle creature named Nura, stood patiently, flicking its tail as the morning sun rose higher in the sky. Father and son began their journey, walking beside the donkey as it trotted softly along the dusty road. The air was warm, the sky clear, and the road alive with travelers heading to the same marketplace. But before long, a group of villagers sitting under a tree began whispering and laughing. One of them said loudly, "Look at that foolish man. He has a donkey but lets his young boy walk. What kind of father is he?" Barzun paused. The words stung him. He looked at Samir, who was happily walking barefoot and humming a tune. With a thoughtful nod, Barzun said, "My son, come. Let your feet rest. Ride the donkey for a while." Samir smiled and climbed onto Nura's back. Together they continued the journey, the father walking alongside and wiping the sweat from his brow. But as they passed a small tea shop, a group of old men sipping tea began shaking their heads. "Look at the youth of today," one said bitterly. "The boy rides while his tired father walks. No respect for elders anymore. What has the world become?" Barzun heard them and felt embarrassed. He turned to Samir and said gently, "My son, it seems I have made another mistake. Calm down. I will ride for a while." Samir obeyed without question and began walking. Barzun climbed onto the donkey, thinking this might please everyone they met. But a few miles later, another traveler coming from the opposite direction laughed and shouted, "Ha! What a selfish man! He rides comfortably while his young son struggles in the heat. Shame on him." Barzun stopped, feeling the heat not just from the sun, but from the words. He sighed deeply. "It seems, my child," he said, "no matter what we do, people always find something to say." Still, determined to avoid judgment, he lifted Samir and sat him in front of him on the donkey. "There," he said, "now we both ride, and no one can complain." But as fate would have it, when they approached a well where women were drawing water, one of them gasped and shouted, "Look at those cruel men, 2 of them riding that poor creature. Have they no mercy for the animal? It will collapse." Barzun froze in shame. His face burned red. He immediately stopped the donkey and helped Samir down. "You see, my son," he said softly, "now even kindness is mistaken for cruelty." Samir looked up at his father with innocent eyes. "Father, what shall we do now?" Barzun rubbed his beard and thought for a while. Then, out of desperation to stop the gossip and please everyone, he did something foolish. He tied the donkey's legs together, passed a long stick through, and with great effort he and Samir hoisted the donkey onto their shoulders. The sight was absurd. The father sweating and staggering under the weight, the son panting beside him, and the donkey braying helplessly above their heads. People stopped and stared in disbelief. Some laughed until tears rolled down their cheeks. "Look, a man carrying a donkey," someone shouted. Another laughed. "Has the sun cooked his brain?" When they finally reached the marketplace, all eyes turned to them. Children pointed, merchants giggled, and everyone burst into laughter. Barzun's face turned crimson with shame. He gently put the donkey down, untied it, and wiped the sweat from his brow. He stood silently for a moment, then turned to his son and said calmly, "My dear Samir, now you see the truth of this world. When we walked, they mocked. When you rode, they mocked. When I rode, they mocked. When we both rode, they mocked. And even when we carried the donkey, they still laughed. My son, no matter what we do, there will always be someone who criticizes. Their tongues never tire, and their opinions never end. Samir looked at his father and asked, "Then what should we do, father?" Barzun smiled, his eyes soft and wise. "We do what is right in our hearts and what is pleasing before God. If we spend our lives trying to please everyone, we will lose ourselves in the noise of their words. But if we walk our own path with truth and peace, no opinion can shake us." He then placed a hand on Samir's shoulder and said, "Let the world talk. We will walk." From that day on, Barzun and Samir lived by that lesson. They no longer cared for empty words or judgment. They spoke kindly, worked honestly, and made decisions based on what was right, not what would please others. In time, people began to admire them for their peace and confidence, and their story became a lesson told across generations. In this life, you cannot please everyone. Whether you do good or bad, people will always have something to say. If you chase approval, you will carry unnecessary burdens, just like Barzun carried his donkey. The only peace that lasts comes from doing what is right in your heart and what pleases God, not man. The world's opinions will fade, but a clear conscience will stay with you forever. So walk your path with confidence, with humility, and with faith, because your peace is worth more than people's applause. If this story touched your heart, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more life-changing stories filled with wisdom and inspiration. Because sometimes a single story can change the way we walk through life.